Warning, as someone who has been described as the world's #1 misinfluencer, prepare to be misinfluenced. Now, they are at it again. The globalists, such as the Eat Lancet Commission, wants to force upon you a diet which they feel is the appropriate diet for human beings, and it is a diet we must adopt in order to save the planet from apparently cow farts boiling the ocean and things like that. Okay, so what is this diet that they propose? Certainly, they say it's a plant-based diet, but I think upon reading the details of what they're recommending, I don't even think the staunchest vegan would be down for this. To be honest, it's absolutely shameful. It looks like it's been written by the companies that make ultra-processed human pet food. Okay, as I'm sure it will be of no surprise to any of you that some of the major funders of this so-called Eat Lancet Commission include the Rockefeller Foundation, the Novo Nordisk, which obviously is a huge pharmaceutical manufacturer making some of these latest GLP-1 drugs, as well as GSK or GlaxoSmithKline, another major pharmaceutical player. So we've got this foundation of people that stand to clearly benefit from a world of sick, obese people with chronic disease. And so just think about that as one of the leading beneficiaries of this particular diet. So this is straight from their report that was just published. The authors of this study, many of them are ethical vegans. What they are proposing is the majority, the largest food group that we get our calories from, something like 775 calories per day out of a roughly 2,000 calorie diet, comes from grains. So grains are going to be the #1 thing we're going to consume calories from. The #2 thing are plant oils or seed oils. #2 ingredient in our planet-saving diet is going to be seed oils. And then a significant majority of the calories, or a significant amount of the calories rather, are going to be coming from sugar. Now let's think about if that represents over 50% of your calories come from grains, seed oils, and sugar. Think about that. Think about what kind of diet that would lead to. Let's talk about some foods where those things are the primary ingredients. You could perhaps have cake, you could have donuts, you could have all kinds of pastries and things of that nature where these would be the top ingredients, and certainly a whole host of ultra-processed foods. This is a recipe for a sick, depleted, demoralized, weak, and obedient population is what this really is. And believe it or not, fruits and veggies, wonderful food on the planet, only represents a very small percent of the diet. A little bit more than 10% of the diet comes from fruits and vegetables. So anyone who is vegan, vegetarian would probably have some issues with that, I think. Now let's talk about the the thing that gets almost no food is the animal foods. What do they recommend for that? Well, they do allow you to have 100 plus calories a day of dairy products. So, you can thank them for that. But when it comes to an egg or eggs, you get 20 calories worth of eggs a day. So, an egg, a whole egg has about 60 calories. So you can have 1/3 of an egg a day. Gosh, don't splurge on that. And then when it comes to meat, particularly red meat, such as pork, beef, or lamb, you get a total of 15 grams of meat from those three groups. So that's like less than half an ounce. I mean, it's about half an ounce of meat that you can get in those groups. Fish, you get a little bit less than that even. So this is, obviously almost a completely vegetarian diet. I guess they put a little bit of meat in there so you don't completely starve to death right away. It is absolutely insane. Okay, and if that's not bad enough, when I mentioned fat, how much animal fat are you allowed? Effectively zero. I think it's between 0 and 5 grams a day, which is an abysmally tiny amount. And so this diet to save the planet is not going to save the planet. This you might as well title this the diet to enrich big food companies, processed food companies, because that's all it really is. And these people that will say that I'm spreading misinformation by pointing this out and dissuading you from blindly adopting a diet that clearly, if we look at countries that have similar dietary patterns, you can look at the country of India, where they consume minuscule amount of meat, a large amount of grains, and the other thing they like you to consume on this diet, I've left out, are legumes and nuts. And so when you model that diet, you're going to get basically the results that India has. Now, what are the results that they have in India? The #1, most people with heart disease, most people with diabetes. They have a population with a significant portion of the population is stunted, a significant portion of the population is suffering from mental disorders, and their fertility rates, by the way, recently are declining. Now, you may say, well, this is because they are poor and impoverished. Well, that is exactly the point. They want to put you on a peasant diet. This is the whole point of it. You deserve to eat peasant food and not actual good nutrition like, many of them will continue to eat regardless. So, and the other thing I'll point out is, they've mentioned this many times, this is not something, most people aren't going to sign up for the peasant food. You know, many people that realize this are going to wholeheartedly reject it, just as they did about 5 years ago. They are planning on doubling down, spending more resources, criticizing and going after and attacking and smearing anyone like myself and others among us that will provide a contrasting opinion around that. Now, to be fair, I am open for debate. If somebody wants to debate me on the wonderfulness of that diet and that's how we should go, I'd be happy to talk to those folks about it, but they would prefer no. They would prefer just to shut you up, to censor you. So we can't let that happen. So we have to get this information out far and as wide as we possibly can. We have to influence those people that make the policies. We have to support our local farmers and ranchers, particularly cattle ranchers and so on and so forth, because they want to see those people wiped off the face of this planet, and we cannot let that happen. All right, so in short, the dietary guidelines this Eat Lancet Foundation is trying to push out there is not going to lead to a healthier planet. It is not going to lead to a healthier populace, despite what they're claiming. They're using, some of these highly confounded epidemiological studies and extrapolating things. They're also using climate modeling data, which we know is wildly inaccurate, to sort of bully us into adopting their diet. And as I said before, they will tax us, they will regulate, they will ration, they will put farmers and ranchers out of business with draconian regulations. We have to take that back. We cannot give an inch. We cannot sacrifice it all. We need to take it back and turn it the other way. We need to further empower those people that feed us and get them free of this corporate hold, which is ultimately going to destroy all of us, keep us sick and dependent upon a system which only sees us as cattle to be farmed, right? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to support what we are doing at Revero, please check us out. If you have patients, friends, family, loved ones you think could benefit from high-level support to help them to reverse their disease at the root cause level and not just medicate them more, check out Revero.com. We are also raising funds to scale what we're doing. We've already successfully launched a company. We're already seeing hundreds and hundreds of patients and changing their lives. So please help us make a difference, fight back from this craziness that's out there. All right, guys, take care.